Why are you running for city council and what are your goals if elected?
I'm Talauna and I'm running for the Olympia City Council position number 5. And I'm running for city council because I have a perspective that isn't currently present on the Olympia City Council. Let me give you some quick background. Back in 2018, my family suffered a tragedy. We lost my aunt suddenly, and ultimately it was under suspicious circumstances, according to OPD and other officials. I've spent the last 3 years trying to get answers and pleading with city management and members of the current council for accountability and transparency. Trying to not only gain some closure, but to strategize and come up with policies locally that the community could benefit from regarding public safety and better policing, and feel as though my requests have gone unheard. And after attending countless city council meetings, reaching out to members of the council, and essentially being stonewalled by our current leadership, I began leaning on members of the community for support. What I came to realize is that there are issues within this local government that are far beyond my expertise that need to be addressed. In order to tackle some of the hard issues that we are currently facing or in the midst of, and that in order to gain the knowledge and understanding of the system, I needed to engage in the community from a different position. Now, keeping in mind, over the course of the last 3 years, several crises have come about. Racial justice being declared a public health crisis by Thurston County, homelessness and COVID-19, and lack of affordable housing are ones that I have been deeply impacted by. As a leader in the community, I feel like I'm up for the challenge of offering experience, education, skills, and abilities to the decision-making table that help the community through these crises. I believe the city of Olympia is in desperate need of long overdue diversification of the council. It's been over 30 years since a Black woman has been on the council, and after months and months of hearing members of this council, including my opponent, share about the need for change when it comes to dismantling systemic racism, I feel as though I'm the right candidate to be in position number 5. My goals, once elected, tend to be like a Google document. There have been multiple contributors throughout the community to my platform, and it's constantly being edited as I gain more knowledge of the different issues that most Olympians agree are causing the city to decline. So I'd like to help increase accountability and transparency. I want to work towards solutions to better outcomes. And as someone who has overcome homelessness, has been successful in recovery from substance abuse, who is a direct service provider to our houseless residents, and who is a renter, I'm that person. I can create positive change in my personal life as I can in the community. Thank you for your vote.
Question number 2. Homelessness is a central concern and crisis in our community. A recent plan related to homelessness involves a proposed site for people living in cars and RVs that would relocate vehicles parked on Ensign Road to Martin Way and Carpenter Road. Would you please comment on this proposal and how would you relate it to a wider plan for homelessness that you would endorse?
So homelessness is a complex issue. Therefore, coming up with solutions is going to be also challenging. A number of residents in our community have written to me as a candidate regarding the city shifting encampments from one location to another. So this proposal is very important. It is crucial that even prior to executing the proposal, multiple bases need to be covered. If homelessness is a community problem, then it's going to take all of the community being a part of the planning and execution for any plans to be successful. This includes those neighborhoods directly impacted by the various neighborhoods that have growing encampments and ones that the city council plans to relocate to. There are a number of public safety concerns that should not go unaddressed when the city is considering moving the encampments from one location to another, such as fire hazards, provisions to try and limit harm to the neighborhoods, for example, crime, trash, etc., and inadequate community engagement. These are just some that have not been addressed adequately by city officials, and until that happens, along with other things, I don't think moving forward with the actual move of sites is in the best interest of the homeless folks relocating or the folks that live in those prospective communities. I would endorse a plan or a proposal that included accurate and current data. This is an area where within our community that the homeless response needs to improve. Additionally, I would endorse a plan that involved educating the community and holding community meetings, having folks experience homelessness present as many as possible from the beginning to the end, and the city's due diligence in providing equitable services on all levels. And just to touch on the community involvement, there has to be an extra effort, not only to hold meetings, but to act on the concerns of the community. I'll finish with this. If the harm reduction approach of recovery is being utilized, then the city needs to be intentional about increasing awareness and education so it can be more effective.
Question number 3. Many consider homelessness and affordable housing as interrelated challenges. Please describe how you understand the relationship between homelessness and affordable housing, and please name your goals and methods for expanding affordable housing in our region and city.
Well, I agree that affordable housing and homelessness are interrelated. I believe that the lack of affordable housing, meaning housing where folks are not paying more than a third of their income, is a contributing factor to the number of homeless not decreasing in Olympia. The root cause of an increase of homelessness is systemic. The lack of affordable housing is also systemic. Both are snared in the nasty web of politics. And politics are the activities associated with the governance of an area or country, especially in the debate or conflict amongst individuals or parties having or hoping to achieve power. Again, homelessness is a complex issue. So when it intersects with another complex issue, such as affordable housing, it becomes even more difficult to navigate. So inevitably, plans to remedy such have to be in depth. Real quickly, there's about 17 low-income tax credit complexes in Olympia, with income restrictions of maximum rents, which are determined by the area median income. Thurston County's is $90,200 for a family of 4, as determined by HUD, the Housing and Urban Development. The current city council supports policy that has, in the opinion of many, led to a massive growth in housing inequity. They've promoted a little over 1,200 units of luxury apartments and 124 units of low-income housing. Some goals of mine are to expand affordable housing, and to become more informed and educated about the multifamily tax exemption, promote a city-run housing authority, and while rent increases cannot be capped at the city levels, study other protections for renters and implement them. I'm a renter, and I would also like to expand my knowledge of the home buying process and see how low-income home buying options, see more low-income housing home buying options spearheaded by the city of Olympia to create more housing equity for people, which would ensure that homelessness is at least not going to keep increasing. That's it.
The Squaxin Island Tribal Council recently signed a memorandum of understanding with the city of Olympia, and the Squaxin tribal flag was raised at this signing and will now be a permanent part of the flag display over City Hall of Olympia. Describe the importance of this MOU and the role that you would like to see regional tribes play in the ongoing stewardship of these lands.
My answer will be brief. It's been far past time to have representation from regional tribes at the decision-making tables here in Olympia and everywhere. While I'm not entirely versed on the memorandum of understanding, it's very, very important that the symbolic gesture of raising the flag, just like Robbie said, isn't performative. Inclusivity is a must for city government and any local government to grow productively and be relevant. In addition to the government-to-government relationship, like Robbie stated, as the original stewards of these lands, our regional tribes know what is best to protect and preserve it. I believe that the tribes should lead the ongoing stewardship of these lands.
Former Olympia Police Chief Aaron Jellick was recently quoted in the Olympian as saying, "It's not a crime. If it's not a crime, it shouldn't be an officer." This was in reference to community caretaking calls, mental health, substance abuse, behavior disturbances. Coming through the Olympia Police Departments, over half of the calls for the services are for this reason: crisis response unit. How would you modify the emerging relationship between the crisis response unit and the OPD?
So I would modify the emerging relationship between OPD and crew by voting for policy that ensures that crew maintains their autonomy and that they are not managed by the police chief. The successfulness of crew plays a huge part in increasing public trust and public safety. The police in Olympia are not the problem in policing in Olympia. It's my belief that the people in positions of power and leadership creating the policy that officers do or do not adhere to are the problem. Bad policing is a result of no accountability and a system that was built to uphold white supremacy, essentially, and is the cause of bad policing. If it's part of crew's protocol that should be established as separate from the police, is to send a crisis responder riding alongside police, then that should happen. But the police chief should not or police should not have the power dynamic that makes them answerable to police and try to limit the interference. So we can try to limit the interference between crisis intervention and the possibility of crisis responders not being able to report police misconduct. But I would definitely keep them separate. I support crew, and I support the expansion, even rolling over to our medics and Medic One. I think a lot of calls that they get are also they need mental health providers there. And but this doesn't, I don't think that this relieves them of the responsibility as police to improve their training overall, because they are not the counselors. They still need to be able to be better equipped in how to deal with those situations.
Anything else in closing that you would like our audience to know about you and your plans of what you will bring to this position?
Thank you, Bryant and Corey, for hosting this event, and Interfaith for doing this also. I'll be honest, I'm very concerned about the direction our city is headed. I believe that if we continue to follow the path we're on, that Olympia will become unlivable for so many folks that live and work here. Already, so many Olympians are waking up to the reality that their rents are being raised, their bills are increasing, and that their wages just aren't keeping up. We as a city have the ability and responsibility to do better, and it starts with electing the right people into office. As a Black woman who's personally experienced homelessness, racism, and getting that dreaded letter from her landlord telling me my rent is raised yet once again, I can assure you that I am someone who will always prioritize the needs of and well-being of struggling Olympians. I've been out talking to the people in Olympia, and every single person that I've spoken with, they've all said that we need new leadership and new ideas in City Hall. We can't repeatedly elect the same people who run into office and then expect different results. Our homeless encampments have increased in numbers, and living in them has become a primary housing option for anyone facing homelessness. Our current city council doesn't have adequate solutions on the table to remedy this, and I'm confident that I can work with a number of organizations and agencies to pull our great city out of this crisis. I, Talauna Reed, represent the diversity, the change, and the strength to challenge the status quo, and that this council desperately needs. Thank you for your time. Thank you for your vote. Visit TalaunaForThePeople.com to learn more.
Well, thanks to all of our candidates who are here with us today.
Anyone that watches my videos is, by definition, a good person.